Hello.
Hey, how are you doing, Victoria? Can
Wait. Oh, there we go. Sorry.
how are you doing? Nice to see you.
Hello. I'm sorry.
Hey, how's it going?
Huh? Wait. Wait. That I'm going to see if the volume can go up. Okay. There we go. Everything's
Yeah.
okay. They haven't come yet because it's 2:27 and I called them at 2:40. So
Okay.
we'll have to wait for like 10 minutes.
Yeah.
How's everything there?
Yeah, pretty cool. This is the first time I've done this, so I'm a little bit nervous, but yeah, should be good.
Uh-huh. I'm really excited for this conversation.
Yeah, man.
So
This is my right because my computer screen is on the
let's
right
hope
hand
it all goes.
side. I thought about trying to move it, but I thought, no, that's just going to complicate things.
Yeah.
Yeah. So nice to meet you, man.
Sorry, the sound is so. Um, you may need to speak like so we all get what the because the video has like a delay. So
I
yeah.
see. Okay, so are you saying that the video and the sound is not syncing?
Yeah, I mean it's just a little bit low. So and we all have to hear. So if you can like space the words, would be really
Okay,
nice, really helpful.
okay, I'm gonna
So we're
write it
gonna
down. Slow.
yeah.
Okay, okay, cool, cool. Yeah, this is the first time I'm trying this, trying to record a Google Hangout. So we'll see. I'm actually just gonna go to my YouTube account because it should be uh kind of broadcast on YouTube as a so people can watch it live. I think.
Oh, okay.
Okay, I think what might be happening is it's got to be completed and then kind of uploaded to YouTube before it becomes available. I'm not sure how it works, to be honest.
Has to be what? Sorry. Oh,
Wow, that's quite a delay.
oh.
Can
Yeah.
can you hear me?
It's yeah, I can hear you. I just I'm not able to hear you like 100% good.
Okay. Let me just let me just look at the settings here and see.
What?
Can you hear me now?
Yeah. Yeah.
Is that any clearer? I've just rerouted.
A little bit more clear, yeah.
Okay.
Do you need me to do anything in this computer? I have no idea how this works.
No, you can tell me a story, maybe. You could tell me a story. You could tell me a story or something like that.
A story?
Yeah.
About what? Clown?
You can't have that few stories. You must have hundreds of stories.
I don't know. um,
Wow, that's a great story.
Oh wait. Let's stop. Okay, now I cannot hear you.
That's because I'm not saying anything.
Okay, again?
Okay, can you hear me now?
Yeah, that's better.
Okay.
Yeah, so people should be arriving in like 10 minutes.
Okay, that's cool.
And we had for you, but I mean, the idea is that you prepared, like go ahead and do it. And if we have time, we can do the questions. Yeah, and it would be really nice to hear about there and of like clown activism and
Okay, I just lost the last little bit that you said there.
here. Huh?
I just lost the last bit that you said there. I couldn't hear it very clearly.
Oh, sorry.
Hmm.
That if whatever you have prepared, you just go ahead and do it. We have some questions for the end, or if we have time. And yeah, we would like to know how is it to work there with like clown activism and what is this whole concept about, and as you said, how this relates with the arts, and if we can consider this like artistic, or is this more like a social thing, or it's a combination of both. We are intrigued also because you for the videos that I saw, you used language lab and like the boys, and we don't here because we have like this language barrier. So we usually use more gestures and actions by itself, or
Okay.
sounds more than words, and maybe how that can fit into activism too, and like how can we instead of using words use other things. What can we do to supplement those words?
Sure. Sure. How many students will there be?
Uh, Around 8.
Okay.
Oh yeah, yeah, around 8, 9.
I'm just making some notes here.
Huh?
I'm just making some notes on what you've
Oh,
said.
okay,
So,
okay.
sure.
Yeah. Yeah. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. Yeah, around 8 or 9 students.
Cool. And how did you get involved in clowning, man?
Well, I came last year to UWC Mahindra College, and there was already a group of medical clowning because we're at least last year was more dedicated to like medical clowning, and this year like broaden it to and so we thought of activism and all of that. Since we are in a country that can like get a lot from that.
Sure.
Yeah, so we had my second years taught us a little bit about of what their second year. So it was kind of passing into like bullying. And we also had some workshops with people coming from outside. We did with this girl from the UK called Katie, and she did the whole performance with different projects within school, and NoseUp was kind of merging. The counts was kind of merging all the story. It was more like a story performance. Um, it related to the situations in the valley here. Um,
Okay.
and yeah, so she gave us a little bit of training, but we never really did anything on activism
Right.
per se.
Right. And I'm also kind of interested to know about, because when I spoke to Benjamin, he said that the students have 2 days to do some sort
What?
of action. When I spoke to Benjamin initially, he said
Yeah.
that the students had 2 days to complete a task or an activity or an action. Does do you know what I'm talking about? I think it's
Oh,
in March.
sorry. Just kidding. It's fine. Like you're talking about Triveni. That's what Ben said.
Yeah, yeah. He said that there was that the students had a day or two in March available to do an action or something of that sort. Let me see if I can find that. Okay, well that's fine. I mean, we can always discuss this a bit later. We can discuss it a bit later.
Yeah, maybe can you write it so
Yeah, sure.
I of what Ben said. Going to have what it's called local project. We have like 2 days into Pune, and to perform there. We have an idea of what we wanted to do, like the topic we want to touch on. We still need to decide what exactly is that we are going to do and how and where in Pune. But yeah, we wanted to like touch on environmental issues actually, which I think it's quite yeah cool to topic.
Sure.
And yeah, so that's like the 2 days that we're like no class. We're just going there and doing the performance or working in the city.
Okay. Okay. So do you guys have? Are there any kind of local issues that you can connect to.
History, you're saying, like issues in the
Yeah, either within Pune or I suppose even in India generally.
Sorry.
I was wondering if there was kind of some sort of concern or issue or kind of something that the students would like to focus on, as a kind of theme to build these days of actions.
Um. Sorry. So what we would like to know is it's how like do you plan this like protest or like clown protests or whatever, or it's more like an improvised thing. Uh, there are many other questions actually have about do and how can we implement that or our performance or whatever we're doing. As I said, it is about like what we saw in Pune that was and it's about pollution, about environmental issues in a community. So so yeah, how is that you tackle that and make a real impact through clowning? I think it's
Sure.
one of the things that we want to know.
Yeah. I mean, I'm quite happy to try to work with you guys as much as I can to help with that.
How is what?
I say I'm quite keen to work with you guys to help figure those things
Yeah,
out. Yeah.
yeah. We're really
But
happy too, and yeah,
yeah.
yeah. We're really excited actually. But at least me, I'm really excited because this is our okay. Everyone is excited. I'm now going to leave more space for because there are people coming. So
Cool.
I'm going to like go out of the camera and like put it to focus to everyone so you can see them. And yeah, if you can, we can do in like 3 minutes start or 5 minutes start. Is that
Yeah,
okay?
that's cool. Perfect.
Yeah. Okay.
Cool. Thank you.
Cool.
Thanks.
No, thank you.
Mhm.
Okay, wait. I'm putting thing.
Mhm.
Take. Okay. Yeah. Wait. I'm going to put this in full screen if I can. Do you know how to put this in full screen? Okay, whatever. Okay, can you see? Okay, so this is like some of the people of our crew. I don't know. Hello. Hello. Hey.
Hello.
Yeah.
Hi. Hey guys.
I think Ben is about to come in a while. I don't know.
Okay, it's a little difficult to hear you. Can you guys hear me?
Yes.
Okay, cool. Cool. Is everyone in or are we still waiting for
If you
people?
could be, sorry. If you could be a little bit more like, rah, rah, like you know, like
Like
vocalize
speak
more.
a
I don't
lot
know how to say
louder.
it. Yeah, exactly.
Okay.
Thank you. because we're
I will
not
do my
so
best.
there are many people that English is not their first language, like our first language. I
Okay.
include myself, so it's
Okay.
kind of between the sound and the English, it's kind of complicated, but we're hearing you well.
Okay. Cool. Cool. Yeah. Just let me know when you guys are ready.
Okay,
Cool.
let's wait 2 more minutes and start.
Sure.
Oh, what is that?
It's a card.
Oh, okay.
It's my screensaver. I've got makeup just fixing me up here. So
um, it's a blog that you can. Oh, what's that? It's not saying something.
oh, hang on a second. It might be backwards.
What? What is it saying?
It says seek what you find and find what you seek.
Again, sorry.
Seek what you find and find what you seek. I'm gonna write it down. I'm gonna write it down.
Okay, wait. We're having some trouble with the speaker. Okay, there we go. I'll find what you see.
Is that better?
There we go. I think
Cool.
you're on again. Should we start? Yeah, if you don't understand something, don't like hesitate or like stopping and either telling me or yeah, just stopping and saying I don't understand. Yeah, sure. You can answer, but it doesn't make sound. You can try. Ask here if they have it. If not, just. Yeah, so he sent this link to no, that's not, to a blog that I think it's quite interesting to see. Actually, I can give you access. Okay, I just sent you the blog that he sent us, so you can check it out.
Thank you.
And yeah, no, Okay. They don't have it? Okay. So okay. I think we can start. So yeah, I think more people are going to come, but for now, let's just start maybe with an introduction of yourself, because they just know that your name is Angus and that's it. So and well, that you're activist, but it would be nice to have a little bit of background of yourself and everything, and then you can start with whatever you have for today. Thanks.
Cool. Thanks. Thanks. Hi, everyone.
Hi.
Hey. My name is Angus. I'm in South Africa, and I was born in South Africa. Um, I work with mostly with spaces and people. So clowning is not my the number one thing that I do. I usually set up spaces around climate conferences. We focus on social change, but around environment issues because the environment affects everyone. So it's a way for us to connect to a lot of people, and also the environment is really quite such a key issue that we have at the moment. So just a little bit of background about me. Um, when I finished school, I studied in engineering, but never really followed that pathway. And also worked in the advertising world. So I guess I started on the dark side of the force. And can everyone hear me?
Yeah. We're listening
Okay,
here.
cool. Cool. You guys are a bit quiet there, so it's like, oh no.
No, it's good.
Okay, cool. Yeah, and in 2008, I had a kind of a social breakdown. So not really a mental breakdown, but a social breakdown where the things that I saw in my society I couldn't really deal with effectively because so much of it um, was messed up, you know. So I kind of left society, got a backpack, and traveled through different communities. I lived in forests, I lived in the mountains. I traveled pretty much as a nomad with no home for about 6 or 7 years. Um, and in this time, COP17, COP is obviously the big climate conference that happens every year, came to my hometown. So I came back to my hometown and with some buddies, we put together a house to house activists. It was pretty much a kind of a temporary hostel. And during this process, we also set up the Occupy COP17 camp. And as part of our creative outputs, we created something called the 1% Clown Army. So this was really cool. We had a whole lot of fun. And
Sorry, what was it called? Can you write it down?
Oh, yes, sure. Hold on a sec. 1% Clown Army.
Oh, thank you. No, it's fine. Yeah.
Yes, that's it. 1%. So we were representing the
Yeah,
one.
here it's been translating a little bit.
Ah, thank you, thank you.
Sorry, Angus, I just got here a bit late.
Hey Ben, how you doing?
Yeah, man. Great.
Cool, man.
Yeah,
Cool, yeah. So the 1% clown army, we used irony and satire, and we were claiming to represent the 1%, not the 99%. And this allowed us to inhabit a very cool position. At first, our concern was, what do we as clowns say, representing the 1%, representing the elite and the banks and these institutions. And then we realized that we just had to read their own words out, but dressed as clowns. And the minute we did that, the silliness of what these people are saying became apparent. You know, so we literally read out statements that corporations and governments and politicians had made themselves without changing anything. But because we were the clown army representing the 1%, it became a really, really funny thing. We also, during COP17, ran an action inside the climate conference. And on the blog, there are some links, and I'll update the blog and post some proper links. I set this up last night, so. But the action inside the conference was really, really amazing. We dressed up as clowns and pretty much invaded an official conference, and again took a very satirical position.
Is this the video that you sent us?
This is the 1%. The Uncle Sam. We were also called Uncle Sam's Clown Army. So I will try and send a link to you guys. But it was a very effective strategy. It was a lot of fun for us, and it's pretty much what you would consider a narrative. So the narrative that we were running is that the 99% are the oppressors, and the 1% also deserve a chance to be heard. And this position really allowed us to do some really cool stuff. We then went to Rio de Janeiro in 2012 and again set up another house, working with the creative resistance forces. So these are now the archivists, which is a combination of art and activism. And from there we went to Lima in 2014, and again set up a house. This house had less to do with clowning and more to do with art. So again, looking at the role that art plays in activism. And late last year, we went to Paris to set up another house. And here, this is where the ClowNinjah was born. So I'm all about the ninja. I really like the mythology of the ninja. And in Paris, we created a kind of a hybrid, a love child between the clown and the ninja. Because we felt that these two kind of archetypes needed to evolve. So that's kind of just a little background on the stuff that I've been involved in. Are there any questions or any comments, or does anyone want to say anything? Or
I'm sorry I arrived late I'll do a second midway introduction. So I know that all of you have seen, you've all seen videos that I said previously, yeah. So one of the reasons that this conversation is very interesting, and I'm really excited for us to have Angus's time, is he has a combination of experiences working as in art as an artist, working as a clown, working political actions, and bringing all of these. So you all are training as clowns, but we know that everything is political, no? And anything you do is political. Any action. We've learned this through our core meetings with Carrie, and hopefully you've run this reality otherwise. So Adam, you have questions for Angus about clown specifically. Maybe you have questions about political involvement. You have questions about the role of an artist in society. These are these three that we're stepping between, we're sort of dancing between. And as you plan your street theater performance, this is a perfect mix of these three. So this is one of the reasons it's so exciting to have Angus here, because he can guide you through some of those thoughts. Feel free to take us with ideas of it today, and know that you also can bring in hey, what, how does that, etc. So really, make this a way to connect your passions and interests. It's for
I wanted.
Yeah, sure. Go ahead.
Sorry, I wanted to ask you a hybrid of like ninja and clown and activist. How does that work into practice? How does it look like into practice?
Okay. That's a very good question. It's not very practical in the world that we live in, but the world needs dreamers, and it needs people to make new things happen. So now is a good time. I think when I was in Paris, I learned we met the we can call them the clown army. These are people that pretty much operate as the army does. So they have a hierarchy. They follow kind of a military style strategy, and mostly they place and position themselves at the edges of resistance. So and hanging out with them, I learned two things about being a clown, definitely in the political sense, but maybe just generally as a clown. The one is, if you take yourself seriously, then the joke is going to be on you. And I think this talks about having to take away the sense of self-importance. Carlos Castaneda says that self-importance is something else with a mask on. So if you take yourself seriously as a clown, it's really not going to work out well, because everyone's going to be laughing at you. And the second thing that I learned from the clowns in Paris was, if you can't take a joke, then you deserve to have one played on you. And again, it's this idea of stripping away the sense of self-importance, you know? I think that's one of the reasons why you can see here with the mask, you know, white clowns use the nose, you know, because the nose is pretty much a mask. It's the world's smallest, reddest mask. And the idea is, when you put the mask on, you're not really hiding anything, but you are assuming a non-identity, which means it allows you to speak from a position that's not just yourself. And there's a lot of power in that, and there's a big need for this to happen. And in terms of the ninja is pretty much somebody who's, you know, in a moment, ready and willing to do whatever it takes to achieve a particular outcome. And sometimes that means putting your body on the line, especially when it comes to big protests. And this is not an offensive position, it's actually a defensive position. So often these positions are taken to protect vulnerable people, and also to de-escalate, you know, when things, especially at protests where there's a lot of control, things can get a bit crazy, you know. People are driven by their emotions and they are fighting for something they really believe in. So the clown generally in those situations, and the ninja, it just, well, in Paris it just seemed they seem to marry each other. And in the next session I'm going to go in a lot more into kind of the experiences that I had, and especially contextualize clowning in the political sense. In this session I was really keen to just look at kind of the role of art and how art and activism kind of links to each other. I mean, can I hear from you guys if you've heard of artivism or have some idea of what this means or what it could entail?
Nice. So he's asking if you have an idea of what is activism and what is it about?
Artivism. What is art?
Correct.
Art is correct.
Artivism.
Art and activism.
Yeah, correct.
Huh? Yeah, so artivism. Yeah, so art and activism. Art.
You're allowed to say you haven't heard of it. What is it?
Activists who do all these things so that others become aware of it. So I feel like makes it smaller, but
I think this is artificial. Okay. Hello?
Yeah, sorry. Yeah, the voice went a bit low back there, so I couldn't really hear.
Yeah, sorry.
Okay,
Yeah.
so can you come closer and repeat the?
Don't be shy. Come on.
Like, come on. It doesn't matter.
You're not in class. Don't worry. This is a conversation with the
okay, so you know how activists use like all this different like how do you say it? Like, they do shows, they do like different things so that people become aware of things that they want to make aware of, like people. So that for artivism, it will be using a lot of art to do that. And it's kind of the same thing, like to convey a message, to bring up an issue or whatever they want to do.
So I think what she's saying is to use art to convey that's what this. Yeah. Yeah, so we don't really know how this works. So maybe you can explain a little bit more about activism.
Okay. Maybe the easiest way to, well, it's not the easiest way. Well, it's the easiest way for me is to ask a more philosophical question. As people that are learning to be clowns, do you consider yourselves to be performers, entertainers, or artists? Do you see clowning as an art form?
Guys?
Yeah, we do.
Yes.
Yeah, so we have a majority that says yes, we consider ourselves as artists.
Okay, because there is a a subtle but a big difference between an artist and a performer. You know, the artist is actively engaging in the world, interacting with the world. I think it's an important shift to make, because art is a component of culture, and culture is how we pass a code forward. You know, it's how we pass on the code to the next generation is through culture. So I think the minute we start to see clowning as an art form, then we have to recognize the political nature of it. Having a political nature is not necessarily talking about politics, you know, or campaigning for some right or something. It's actually every single engagement that we make as members of society. So by positioning ourselves as clowns, or should we say as artists, we then have to kind of consider what's the role of the artist. Like why does the artist, why, or what is the main function of the artist, you know? To look beyond just clowning as a kind of a thing that lives by itself, and to start to understand that everything is political, you know? So, I mean, there is kind of, have you guys heard of this? I'm just gonna,
Memory theory. Oh, we haven't heard about that.
okay, it's connected to this, which is the meme. On the blog, I'll try and post maybe like a video or two. But it kind of looks at a meme is a unit of culture. So like human beings, one of their main functions is to make another copy, to reproduce themselves. Mimetic theory looks kind of at information in the same lens. So it looks at information as this thing that wants to reproduce itself. And if we go into kind of mimetic theory, it's quite interesting because we start to see how we can find ways to take an idea or a concept or feeling and find a way to transfer it or to transmit it to other people. And I mean, in terms of performances, performers do this all the time, you know? It's when the musician makes that great musical hook that everybody loves and sings and hums to themselves, you know? That is an example of a meme. So it's just something that popped in into my mind as we were talking. When we start to look at information in this way, we start to get a clearer idea of how we can communicate. You know, I think one of the roles of artists in our modern society is to observe. I've actually written it down here. It's to observe the world around us and to reflect it, which we see in lots of paintings from, you know, 1700s and 1800s and even before this, to make a commentary, you know, which is not really talking about what can change or what can be made better, but just talking about the situation as it is. And art and artists can obviously create on top of society and what it has now. So those are things like augmented reality, you know, and these kind of virtual reality technologies. And the role of the artist is also to envision, is to look beyond what we have here and to consider what could be and to find a way to ground that. And I mean, a great example of this is Jules Verne. He's an author, and he wrote a book called Journey to the Moon, which spoke about human beings in a little rocket that kind of flies up to the moon. And this book was written in the 1890s, at least 10 years before human beings could fly. You know, so this kind of the ability for the artist to kind of envision a possible future is another very important kind of role that the art and the artist takes. I'm just going to pause for a second and just check in with you guys. Are you cool? Is there any questions? Do you guys want me to kind of focus on something a bit more specific, or?
Yeah, dear. No, I didn't. Whatever, like I think it's interesting.
Yeah, so we would like to make you some. Questions that we were about.
Is it better now?
Can you hear us?
Yeah. I think it's just when the voice far from the camera, yes. But I didn't hear that.
Okay. So one of the questions that came out was if you consider your work, like your activist work, and how do you keep how do you keep clowning as a form of art when it has a clear message? I don't know.
Yeah, so how do you manage between keeping with your art and portraying a message? How do you balance those two things? So can you be an artist and still having a clear message that you want to give? I think
okay, sure.
Maybe Angus, you, because I'm looking over Victoria's shoulder, interesting questions. And then if we give you a few, you can choose where to start. I'm just seeing one question. Given the clowns, how can we transmit a message in order to be activists? How do we make? Yeah. So how can a silent clown transmit a message? That's another question. Yeah.
Okay, so firstly, the idea of how does the art and the activism connect? I think it connects through your lifestyle. I mean, I suppose it's really a question of like, well, why are you becoming a clown? You know, is it to kind of to entertain people or to entertain yourself? You know, and there are no right or wrong answers, but I think it comes down to finding out for yourself why you are a clown. You know, the way to marry your art and your activism is through your lifestyle. It's your art is a representation of who you are and how you see the world. And I think your activism is very much the same. It's a reflection of who you are and what you think is important, and where you want to focus your attention. So in this sense, it would be kind of if you look at activism, maybe your the thing that you really feel super passionately about is food and having organic food, you know, and not having GMO and not having pesticides and these kinds of things, you know, then I think naturally you will place yourself in those circumstances. Um, and you will work with these kind of concerns. Uh, in terms of the silent clown, that's really interesting because I mean there are basically two kinds of communications. The one is obviously verbal and non-verbal. In terms of clowning and specifically political clowning, I think the most important thing is the position. It's the where do you place yourself and where do you place your body at a particular time. So for the clown army in Paris and the clown ninja, which is what we created, we placed ourselves between the policemen and the crowd of people. So we were basically a de-escalation force. So the context of what we were doing as clown ninjas was based heavily on our position, on the fact that we were right up at front and we placed ourselves in that place in order to meet a function. Um, the clown army themselves were also a non-verbal entity. I actually tried to get one of the guys to break character, you know, to say something, and this guy, man, he refused to. Hey, he really refused to. He had such a solid wall of. I mean, his mask was really very strong. So, in terms of the how does the clown do it? The position is the number one thing. The second kind of factor that you think about is your narrative, which is what story are you trying to tell? You know, so we can kind of get into this a bit deeper because this is quite a very complex thing, but it is very important it's because you're not communicating with words. You've got to be very clear and distinct about what your stance is. So are you saying, yes, we should have more pesticides, or no, we should have less pesticides? And this needs to be clear because you are in a silent position. So you're not really able to use your words to bring someone to an understanding. So that's kind of your narrative, which is the what is the story that you're telling. And again, you create a narrative and you position yourself within that narrative. And then in terms of effective communication, so I mean, you can place yourself at the right place. You can have it made very clear what your position is, but how do you make sure that it's really effective? And that is by using a analytical approach. So I mean, when I finished school, I studied engineering. I'm a qualified engineer. So my work is an incorporation of the creative and the kind of analytical. And I mean, when you take an analytical approach, you identify what we call key levers. So these are, I'm just going to write that down. Key levers. So these are kind of, if you think about a factory, and you want to break into this factory and you want to dismantle it, you want to stop it from working. You can go kind of randomly, you know, and just smash things and kind of, you know, hope for the best. Or you can do some analysis and figure out exactly which gears and which levers and which things to lightly affect so that the entire system is effective. And so we consider that to be the key levers, and that
repeat that part.
Angus, hold up. Can you lean in and speak
yes.
closer to the mic? Your levers.
Yeah, sure. I think I was also getting a bit excited and speaking too fast. Sorry.
You're clear now.
Now it's
Okay,
good.
cool. Yeah, so the three things that I think are important to think about is your position, where you are placing yourself physically, and then your narrative, which is what is the story that you are telling. And the way to make that effective is to identify your key levers and for your narrative to really drive those key levers. Again, the narrative that we used at COP17 was the 1% clown army. This was a story world that we created, and we clearly marked that, you know, with things on our chest and like, you know, that said 1%. So even from a photograph, it's very evident who these clowns are speaking for. And that allowed us to drive our key levers, our really important things that we wanted to talk about. And the position is that, well, for the one action, we got into the United Nations conference and disrupted a meeting in a very clown friendly way, you know, but again, that's the position, being able to know where to place your body in a space and time. So I'm not sure if that's helped at all, guys.
I think it helps us also to know how to tackle like our the performance that we're planning, and look for all of these three things, where to position the levers and yeah, the narrative. So yeah, that's helpful. We have another question that we wanted to ask,
Yes,
and
sure.
maybe this is a little bit more complicated to answer, but we're trying to make an impact, knowing that in whatever we're trying, the message we're trying. How do you consider? How do you measure that impact, or how do you consider it a success or failure, or yeah? Yeah.
I encourage you to use your own words, at least to put your internalizing stuff instead of just
Okay, is that the question?
Huh?
So well, okay, can you just repeat the question, please? Sorry.
Is yeah. How I was reviewed. So did you make sure that convey that message, or can have made that impact, or when you haven't? How do you know that?
Okay, that's a very complicated.
Yeah.
Well, it's a very complicated question and a complex answer. Again, if you just take a step back and consider the clown to be the artist, then imagine how does the artist answer this question when he makes a play or a piece of artwork that's talking about a particular thing. I don't think it's really possible to measure, especially when it comes to live performance, especially if it's on the street or if it's impromptu, you know. It's really very difficult to measure. And when it comes to success or failure, that is a question. It's more of an internal question than an external question. And that comes down, I think, to what you think is important, like where your personal values lie. Because art's never changed the world. I don't think it has changed the world, but it has the ability to change people and to introduce an idea into someone's head or to make them think about something in a different way. And you can't really measure that. You know, I would find it very difficult to measure 5 different pieces of artwork to say, oh, this artwork here is a 7 and this is a 15. You know, to me it's kind of a foreign concept. So it's more, I suppose, an individual and then a kind of a group question. It's like, what do you guys think is important? And at the end of it, do you feel that yes, you managed to achieve this? And most of the time, the answer is going to be no. You know, most of the projects that I've worked with are filled with disappointment because we have these great ideas, you know, and most of the time it doesn't work out like that. But we have the ability to touch someone's heart or to put an idea into somebody's mind. And that kind of thing cannot be measured. And again, success, failure, it's a question of what you think is important, where you think value lies. So yes, complex answer, but yes.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Different personalities and roles, right? Our heart is in charge inside, or the approach. Okay. So one issue that we have here in India, as most of us, well, not a bunch of us were like Europe or you know, like countries that countries that are considered wealthy or whatever, and we come here and we try to change things because we think they're and one question we always face is how we deal with this different
White savior complex. Yeah.
behavior complex.
Okay.
Like,
Yes. Sure. That's a tricky one. That's a super tricky one. How it's through. I think the way to, again, it's that idea of stripping away the self-importance. You know, as clowns especially, but as artists, you really, if you're going to take yourself too seriously, you know, you're going to set yourself up for a lot of heartache and disappointment. And some joy, but a lot of heartache and disappointments. I think one of the key things is this idea of stripping away the layers of self-importance. In terms of dealing with that, I don't know if I have a direct answer, but I can tell you from our experiences setting up these kind of art activist houses. The key is to kind of create these spaces and just engage in dialogue. You know, when we went to Lima, like, well, when I got to Lima, I could speak zero Spanish. you know. And here I was in this house filled with everybody spoke Spanish, you know. And to me, that was the most beautiful part of it, you know, was I went there with kind of all of these ideas of, we're going to do this and then we can do that. And just simply having an inability to communicate with people, it forced me to shut up, you know, and to stay quiet and to listen a lot more and to follow other people's lead. So we ended up finding this amazing group of hip hop performers, graffiti artists, stencilers, and so sorry guys, my screensaver just came on. And by working with this local group, we managed to achieve things that made sense in that context. So I think it's just to maybe it's a way to answer that is to remember that we have two ears and one mouth, you know, so we should be listening at least twice as much as we speak. But to actively engage with people on the ground, you know, not just as a pet project, but as it's actually a way of uncovering who you really are. Yeah.
Can you repeat the first part of that again, because it got messy?
Okay. I'm not sure which first part. Hi, my name is Angus. We start from the beginning, hey? I think it's to actively work on removing self-importance, which is a big, powerful lesson for all of us, and to actively engage with the world around us. You know, we are all citizens of the earth, even though there are different contexts.
Yeah, and as you talked about, you were talking about as art or culture passing up, and I just wonder if that codes who has the power over those codes, and maybe that's that's maybe the question of what do we want to why is the message this one and not this one? Do you understand what I'm trying to say?
I think so. Can you just ask that last part in a different way, maybe?
So you were talking about culture and how it's like great trend to codes through generations.
Sure.
And I wonder, how can we, who's the owner of those codes, or who can manipulate? No, we can throw trash into the river, but for them it's kind of, I don't know. They have a ritual that they throw like a Ganesh, that it's a figure, and we cannot tell them that this is good, because it's part of their religion and their culture. So who has the to say, oh, this goes in Asian?
Sure. Okay. Wow, you guys are leaving the easy questions behind, eh? And just going to the difficult ones. Wow. It's good. Who's in charge? Nobody is in charge, and everybody is in charge. I think the code gets passed on by what we choose to remember and what we choose to pass on to the next generation, what we teach our children, pretty much. But as
Wait,
artists,
again,
sorry,
what we pass on to what?
that we pass on to our children, or we leave behind in our live performances, or we embed into the stories and the books that we write. You know, that's how we find the way to pass the culture on. If you just think about swing dancing in the 1930s in Paris, you know, the only way that we know what it looked like and sounded like is because people took photographs. You know, that was the method at the time of finding a way to pass this culture code forward. But I think as the artist, we have the ability to hack that code. We have the ability to insert our own kind of code into this larger society function, you know. And again, that it depends largely on what we're focusing on, which again, as always, comes back to a kind of personal introspective space. So what do you think is important, and what are you willing to fight for, to resist, but also to create towards? But definitely as the artist, and especially as a live performer, you know, you have the ability to basically hack into anyone's brain. I mean, this is what graffiti artists do when they spray paint something on a wall. You know, every single person that drives past it has that information going into their brain, whether they look at the words directly or not. So I think the key here is to again see ourselves as artists, to get a sense of how artists in the past have really changed the fabric of society through movies, through art, through design and sculpture. And to see ourselves as the creatives. We are the ones that can hack into this kind of society code and embed our own messages. In terms of that specific kind of ceremony that you were talking about the Ganesha thing, again, to really uncover that, I would recommend a analytical approach. You know, an approach that's where you're not basing it on your emotions or how you feel or your sense of what's right or wrong, but to have a very analytical and critical examination of it. Very often, if you take a critical examination, you might discover that you weren't correct, that you had actually made an assumption that in the larger context is not accurate. So again, I can really recommend this kind of analytical approach to it, to really identify what is the real issue here, what are the connecting streams, and from that analysis, your action is driven from there, but it's not driven from a position of I want to achieve this particular outcome. I think that's the savior idea, the idea that look at me, I'm so clever that I've figured this out. You know, again, I'm not sure if this is helping at all.
Yeah, I just want to see that. What are you, when you say analytical approach, what are you referring to?
Okay, so I suppose that would be just to be able to put aside your kind of personal view on a particular subject and to do proper research, to look into research that other people have done, and based solely on the analysis of the information to extract a narrative, to extract a strategy, to extract some sort of conclusion. You know, it's especially when it comes to these kind of these cultural worlds that, you know, these different cultural worlds that we all come from. It's important for each kind of space in the world to have its own special thing, you know, its special food and its special customs and these kinds of things. So, but again, it's to be able to do this analysis from a critical point of view, I think, and to be able to look at your position, at who you are within this ecosystem. Yes.
Thank you. Does anyone else have any other question or things that you want to comment on? So they're asking, what are you working on right now there in South Africa?
Right now I'm working on catching cards. Look, at the moment,
What?
I'm catching cards. Look.
Can you repeat, please?
Catching cards. Yes, she's saying catching cards. Yeah.
Yeah.
He's actually catching cards.
Actually catching actual cards. Yes. At the moment in South Africa, man, there's so much crazy stuff going on, you know. We live in such a vibrant society that I think a lot of people in the world could learn from. We have 11 official languages and cultures from all over the world that's really squashed together, you know. But at the moment, there is a big push to roll out a nuclear plan, and there's also a lot of fracking that's kind of starting to stick its nose in South Africa, and this is exactly the same in Bolivia. So we sorry. Am I speaking to you fast?
Yeah.
Okay, sorry.
I think
so,
we're here.
yes, so the nuclear stuff and the anti-fracking stuff is big on the agenda. But personally, I'm working on creating community. I think we have all these kind of things that we need to deal with, the dysfunctional parts of society. But in order for us as change agents and artists and activists and people that care, we need to have some sort of sense of community. So that's pretty much what I'm focusing on, is how to build this kind of national community of art activists. And of course, working with something called the Red Line strategy, which was launched in Paris. And I'm just going to write down two things in the chat box for you guys to check out.
Great. The red line. And
these are kind of it's focused on challenging the development model, the neoliberal development model, which is being rolled out, I suppose, in India, but definitely in Africa and Latin America. And so these are kind of the international strategies that are being worked on. So after Paris was really a very challenging space, but it forced the creative resistance forces to come up with something new. And so these are kind of some of the new things that we're going to be working on this year. Yes.
That sounds very
Action cards. Look, I'm not thinking about the cards, but I take cards very seriously.
Okay, that's
Can I ask you guys a question?
what?
Well, okay, can I ask you guys a question?
Oh, yeah, sure.
Yeah. Well, can maybe everyone that's in the room just kind of say hi, my name is so and so, or something like that. Just a little introduction, just to connect everyone.
Yeah. Okay, we'll start. Okay, yeah, Josine, start.
My name is Yazid.
Get right in there. Go on, go. Say
Yeah.
hello. Get in there.
I My name is Yazid.
Coming. Hello, my name's. Are you listening? Oh yeah. Oh cool. Yeah. That means.
Hello, I'm Abhi. I'm from.
Hello.
What's that?
Hi, I'm Renard. I'm from Portugal. Nice to meet you.
Wait, that's I have. You find what you seek. That's what the card says. Okay.
Hi, I'm Spain. Yeah, thank you so much.
Lisa and I'm from Armenia. Yes. Hello, I'm a
You're not cool enough.
Have you-
What to?
Wow, you guys broken the computer there. What's going on, man?
Yeah. Oh, I don't even.
What is that?
What is it?
It's an Escher.
I don't think it's a.
An Escher.
To what? Okay. Oh, Esther.
Is that everyone?
Esther. No, wait.
Hi, I'm Caitlin. I'm from India, from Pune.
Hello, I'm Jorge, and I'm also from Spain, as Tito. But I don't like beer. Oh, cool. Looks like a tour.
Yeah. Wow. Amazing, man.
Hi.
Welcome.
It's Chu, because I'm from Hong Kong once upon a time, and I teach theater over here. So I'm really
Wow.
happy to see you talking to the students about these things. Awesome. Thank you.
You guys all have virtual cards now.
Virtual card.
Virgin card.
Yeah, and I'm Victoria from Argentina. Just yeah.
Victoria from Argentina. Good.
You're mine.
Oh, that one.
Is this a whale? Like a whale.
It looks
Aw.
like a fetus. Stretched out fetus. I like them.
Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you.
It was lovely to meet you.
Yeah, man.
Nice to meet you.
That's, oh, do you have any other question or a conclusion to this session? No.
Or things for us to research.
Or things for us to think about for the next session or research?
You know what I would really
Yeah. What?
you know what I would really love from each of you guys
What?
is to make a little mind map. See, this is my mind map for, and that was the mind map for this lecture. And look, it's can't really see it very clearly. Sorry, but it's kind of just like taking ideas and turning them into pictures and words, you know, a kind of mind map of sorts.
We
Have two mind maps.
You want to see it?
Yeah, yeah.
Okay. So, oh, there's this. Okay, okay, there we go.
Okay.
And
The voice of the time. I don't know if
Well-
you can properly see. Woo! There we go.
Wow.
Well, it's quite a lot. I don't know if you can properly read, but still. Pedro.
Wow, you guys. Were
Yeah.
Really excellent.
yeah, we
Wow.
have a great graphic presentation.
Yeah, so maybe like if you guys want to, I mean, it could be quite cool. Just to again one of the key things that I wanted to bring about in this session was the idea of us looking at ourselves as artists and thinking about the role that what we think artists, the function that we think an artist has in society. How does that apply to our idea of clowning? So to start to make this link between the clowning and art, and to maybe do a little mind map driven towards these actions that you guys want to do. You know, maybe let's first not think so much about the action, but let's just look at this. How do we view ourselves? That makes sense.
Wait, let's not just think about the action, but
through a mind map, thinking about what means to be an artist and activist. Okay, fun.
Yeah. Yeah. Keeping in mind that you guys are going to be doing this kind of action later this month, but focusing specifically on this idea for artists and trying to build a link between you as a clown and you as an artist. It would be cool to kind of to get an idea of what goes on inside y'all's brains, you know, but in a nice, pretty format, you know, with words and pictures.
Very nice exercise.
Thank you so much.
Yes. And you guys can look through the blog. I've just stuck up some stuff that I thought was kind of interesting. And work through the blog or get my email address from Victoria and Ben.
Yeah.
If you have any more specific questions.
Yeah, we'll send the email, and I send the link to the blog to them, so they have access to it.
Cool.
And they can add. I think it's a really nice resource.
So, I don't know if you can hear me from here, but I guess in terms of timeline, today is March. They've identified the theme.
Well,
They want to work on by next week.
Hear me now? Yeah. So team is doing that they want to work with.
Cool.
And next, new with concepts and this sort of thing. Yeah, it would be great. Maybe if you are okay with this, more Skype after next week. So next week, you all finish this sort of talking over theory, et cetera, some more stories from your side to inspire them. And then by the next Thursday, it'll have to be before. It'll have to be maybe on March 20th or something. Have another Skype where they say, all right, Angus, the piece we've laid out, maybe they even give you the first kind of dry run performance, and you can give them, could you give them some guidance from there?
Yeah, sure, I would love to. That would be amazing.
Yeah. Yeah.
yeah. So we actually gathered and thought about like possible performance. But what we're not good is how much this has to be like a proper performance or like a demonstration, if you can understand why I'm asking. So how much do we plan as like a theater performance as clowns, or how much do we just like improvise it? I mean, there's always a thing of improvisation, no? But how much we leave to or whatever.
Okay. Again, I think the context is very important. If it's at a kind of a very, let's say, politically charged space, it's quite different to if it's in a park, you know, with people kind of walking past and these kinds of things. So we can, through email, kind of look at the context, but generally you develop a few strategies and a few tricks, and then you arrive there and you kind of just hope that it all works out. So I mean, you gotta have a few kind of things that you fall back on, which like, well guys, this is not working, so now we go to this thing or we do this thing. But generally, I think it's good to have it kind of free form, to 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 really be, because it forces you to be in the moment, you know. And when you are in the moment, you are authentic. And I think in a live performance, this is what people feel, you know. That's where the emotion comes from. It's from the authenticity. So, but I mean, we can chat kind of more once I have an idea of what context and what kind of ideas you guys have. Yeah.
Okay. Yeah, sure. So people here have to go because there are other activities.
Of
Not
course.
much for everything that you have taught us and the conversation that we had. It was really interesting to hear about what you're doing and to hear about ideas, new ideas that can change a little bit what we do here. And thank you so much for giving us some of your time too. I know that it's morning and you have things to do, but thank you. It's really appreciated.
Yeah, guys. Thanks a lot. Good luck, and we'll speak to you guys soon.
Huh? Yeah. Oh, and have you record this?
I'm gonna. It says stop broadcast, so I think in about maybe 3 or 4 hours I'll know if it's worked. But we'll be in touch. I'll send you a link and stuff, and we can check it out.
Okay. Thank you so much. Bye bye. Have a nice day.
Thank you. Bye.
Thank you so much, Angus. You're amazing.
Yeah.
Take care. We'll chat soon.